Get ready for the ultimate pen testing adventure. Imagine unlimited access to a lab full of vulnerable targets just like in tryhackme or hackthebox Academy, but never worrying about time limits or any other restrictions, and at zero cost. Well, guess what? You can. Kia ora, friends. I'm Ryan. In this video, we'll set up a safe and secure hacking lab, we'll knock out a few of the common issues you may encounter, and cover the minor differences for whether you're setting this up on a Windows, Mac, or Linux as the host OS. So everyone is covered here. Welcome to Brews and Hacks. Alright, I'd like to give you a roadmap of today's video before we jump into it real quick. First, we're going to go over a few different virtual machine managers. Then we will walk through the installation of Oracle VirtualBox. I'll briefly cover the three most popular options for attack machines, and we'll walk through the installation of Kali Linux. So then the bulkiest part of this video will be to actually set up that attack machine. Not because it's the most difficult, it's actually really simple. It's just the most time consuming, so from there it's smooth sailing. Once we're done with that, we will set up a host-only adapter and go over why it's important to do so. And then we will find a virtual machine from VulnHub, and I'll briefly cover a few other places where you can download vulnerable machines. And finally, we will do a quick scan with Nmap just to make sure that everything can interact with each other in the lab. If you haven't come to this conclusion already, this is going to be a bit of a longer video, so please stick with me. This will not only set up a safe and solid foundation for the majority of my future pen testing walkthroughs, but also with a home lab, you'll have 24/7 access to sharpen your skills and try out an infinite number of techniques you're interested in learning, so your imagination is the limit here. Alright, so currently we're here at virtualbox.org. That's where we're going to install our virtual machine manager VirtualBox. Like I said during the roadmap, we're going to be going with VirtualBox today. You could also go with, if you're on a Windows system, you could go with Windows Subsystem for Linux, WSL. It's built in, so that's a good option. VMware is also another option that's similar to VirtualBox. I'm merely going with VirtualBox because it's what I know, it's what I've been using for years, it's what I'm comfortable with, and what I feel comfortable teaching on. So we'll go ahead, and if you are following along with me, we'll go to the download page. You can either go from the top or go from the Get Started and Download button that's big and blue. So then it'll give you several different options depending on your host OS. If you're on a Windows host and you download, if you click this button here, you'll be downloading a exe or executable installer. If you're on Mac OS, if you're unsure whether you have an Intel processor or an Apple Silicon processor, please go into your About and Settings from the top left-hand corner. And if you have M1, M2, that's a Silicon processor. So select that application image accordingly. And then, of course, Linux. This will be to build from source. It does have several different options here. I recommend, if you're on Linux, to just go through the package manager. That's what I did. So in my case, it's going to be paymac install VirtualBox. I already have it installed, but you get the point. So select your installer and follow those instructions accordingly, and hit pause while you're taking care of that, and then resume once you're done. This is VirtualBox Manager from Oracle. Like I said, this is how it will look when you first install it. No virtual machines. We'll get to that in just a second. Let's go ahead and take a look at the three most popular options. Let's get my face out of the way here just for a few minutes, just while we're talking about Parrot OS here. So Parrot OS is fairly popular. It's obviously backed by Hackthebox Academy, or just Hackthebox. So that is why that is the attack machine that you will use in the Hack the Box Academy modules. Both it and Kali have just over 600 tools, as you can see here. Let's find a picture of it. There we go. Very nice display. It's based on Pop OS, so very targeted towards the graphical user interface. So it's a great option. I have a feeling I'm really going to like it once I dig into it, so we will dig into it on this channel. If you're interested in that, please subscribe, hit the notifications. Okay, Kali is very popular. And that's what we're going to be using today. Again, this is just because it's what I know and it's what I feel comfortable teaching on right now. So I know the different options and everything. There's a few different styles of Kali. So you've got the NetHunter, which is on the mobile. I've never been able to make that work. WinKex is using WSL. You can set up a graphical user interface that looks just like the one that we're going to set up today. And then a few different other options. So ARM, cloud, containers, if you wanted to set up a Docker image, so on and so forth. Like I said, just like Parrot OS, it has just over 600 tools. So both are great options. This one is based on Ubuntu. So they both are from Granddaddy Debian. Finally, the third popular option is Arch, it's Arch, yes. It's Black Arch Linux. This one caps out at 2,835 tools, so it's massive. A couple of different image options, mostly with Windows managers. If you're ready for Black Arch, I don't know what you're doing here, but thank you for joining us anyway. I'm not ready to teach on this yet, but I can't wait to dig into it. So while I was making the outline on this video, it popped into my head that I know how to do the tryhackme modules by going in through the OpenVPN option, so using your own local attack box. And I came up with the bright idea that once I dig into Parrot OS and Black Arch, I'm going to do the tryhackme modules, at least a few of them, using those OSs instead of the regular Kali. So that'll be a fun, different approach to, well, a fun, different perspective, I should say. It'll still be using the same tools or similar tools, but it's just awesome to know that we can do that. So if you're interested in that, please subscribe and hit notifications. All right, so like I said, we're going to go with Kali Linux today. You can just go to this big download button here. And there's a few different images to choose from. We already briefly covered ARM, containers, WSL, which was the WinKex, and cloud, and mobile. The three that we didn't cover were installer, virtual, and live boot. Real quick, we'll go over live boot because you will see me going through a couple of options on my USB toolbox here. There you go. USB toolbox. I will have the live boot option on there. It's a great option if you're going in without needing to go through the host OS. It's bypassing the host OS. So that one's fun. The installer image is like as if you were installing on bare metal. So if you were installing Kali as your host OS. I will tell you right now, I'm not going to do that option, and that is the most popular option. I've done it. It's great. I definitely recommend going ahead and walking through that installation, especially if this is your first install of a Linux operating system, but I'm not going to use that one. So if you're interested in watching how to install that installer image, my friend Devin actually just released a video a couple weeks ago, very succinct. It covers all the steps very clearly, and it keeps everything super simple. So I'll put the link to that here, and when you're done with that, come back and we'll set up the virtual adapter for you, okay? All right, so today I'm setting up the virtual machine image, and the reason why I like this one is it's small and it's easy, and I'm just using Kali as a toolbox. I'm happy with my host OS being Manjaro Linux. So I don't need to install a whole other image on a virtual machine. I'm good with this right here. So we'll go ahead and just download this VirtualBox image. You just click the download button, and then you can see it has begun. And I'm actually going to cancel that because I already did it. This is actually the 4th time I'm recording this video. So we'll jump onto my USB toolbox, and you'll get to see how to install that. Okay. All right, so once it's done downloading, by the way, this is that live image that I mentioned that you can boot right into without using the host OS. Once you're done downloading that VirtualBox image, it's going to be a compressed folder just like this. You can extract that. You can extract it right to where it is. I'm actually going to extract it to where I'm going to house my virtual machines. So give that a few minutes. I totally forgot to mention, if you are using Windows, you may need to install an application called 7-zip. We'll go ahead and take a look at that real quick. Go ahead and try to extract it without installing any additional tools. But if you do need this, it is a free and open source software. So if you need to install it, you can just download this executable installation, just like the other install tool. And if you are on Mac OS, and again, this doesn't extract automatically for you, you can download and install this application here called Kika. Yeah, this one here. You'll just hit this 1.4.7 version. They want you to use the App Store or blah, blah, blah. You can just download the app image. That's probably the easiest way. And yeah, just extract the files using this application if you're on Mac, and 7-zip if you're on Windows, if just extracting it on its own doesn't work. Alright, so just finished extracting the files. I am recording. Okay. So they're going to be in this folder here. There's going to be a shared... Wait, what? No, I'm sorry. They're going to be in this folder here that says Kali Linux 2024.4 VirtualBox AMD64. There's going to be 2 of them. There's going to be the VBox and the VDI. Pretty sure this VDI disappears as soon as we're done installing it, but we'll take a look. So on your VirtualBox Manager, we're going to select the add plus sign, and then we'll go to that same location. Okay, and it's already done installing into the VirtualBox Manager. It's pretty amazing. That's part of why I love this method. It's super easy. It's just overall a great option. Okay, so that VDI image didn't go away, but that's fine. It's no big deal. Okay, so go over a few different things. Depending on when you are watching this, you want to just make sure that it did pull the correct stats and everything. You can also offer it more if you choose. I'm probably going to offer it more as I'm using it more often. Right now I'm just going to start with the base, but know that you can do that. We'll take a look at that a little bit later. Let me make a note to touch back on that. All right, I made note to go back and take a look at adding resources to your Kali machine. But just take a look at this. So we've got 2 gigs worth of RAM memory. We've got 2 core processors. We've got 128 gigs for the video memory. Doesn't really matter. As you get more advanced, you could look into getting the plugins to do a GPU pass-through to be able to do things like Hashcat on the Kali box. I've tried that in the past. It didn't really work out for me. It's clearly possible. People do it all the time. I just didn't really put a lot of time into figuring out how to do it. So if I ever do need a tool like Hashcat that uses the GPU, I'm going to be doing it on my host OS. But just know that you can. Just wanted to put that out there. Host driver pulse audio is normal. The network we're going to be changing. We're going to leave it as NAT for now because we need to install all the updates and everything. USB you don't need to worry about. And then there's a short description here, a couple of different links to pages within Kali.org. So like the homepage documentation is important. If you're ever having any issues with Kali, look at the documentation. Different tools, forums, and communities, and so on and so forth. Now right here, you'll see that the default username and password is Kali, so both the same, Kali. As soon as we boot in, we're going to change that password. That's important, definitely a best practice. It's like leaving your router as admin, not a good idea. So anyway, okay, we're going to click start in a minute. I'm going to show you the screen that you should be looking at. If you're not looking at the same screen, it's going to be because of not having virtualization enabled on your device, on your host OS. I'll explain how to do that, but let me just show you what the screen should look like first. Alright, so when you click start, this is what you should see. You should see the VirtualBox logo. Let's move that over. And then you should see what's called the grub menu for Kali. So you'll have Kali GNU, and then you'll have advanced options. As you start making snapshots and everything to save your settings before your updates and all that good stuff, there will be options to go back on the snapshot as well. So if you did not see this, if instead it crashed immediately and you saw an error pop up on this side menu over here, it's because virtualization is not enabled on your host OS. So before we log into this Kali machine, we're going to take a look at that. Let's talk to the Mac OS folks first. So if you're on Mac, the easiest way to try and kick the machine into virtualization enabled is to install VMware Virtual Machine Manager. Just installing it should hopefully... Here, let's go this way. Just installing it should hopefully help out with that virtualization enabled issue. VMware. I've actually never installed VMware, so I have to take a look here. Oh, whew, good. All right, there's a homebrew formula. So, homebrew is actually what I'd recommend for... The homebrew package manager is actually what I recommend for macOS folks. Just brew, install VMware Fusion. You can use this double tap cask, but usually it takes care of that itself. If you do not have homebrew installed, it is very, very easy, and there are instructions right here. Go to homebrew, and this is how you do it. Paste this into the macOS terminal or shell prompt. Installing VMware should kick the virtualization into enabled status, and then you can go back to work with VirtualBox. Alright, so back to my Linux and Windows viewers. If that did not boot into the machine, if that went to an error and crashed out, then you will need to go into your BIOS or UEFI options and enable virtualization. So I actually walked through it on this video here. Let me pull this up. Okay, go to your About section in the settings and figure out how to enter into the BIOS or the UEFI options. On most PCs, it's either the F2 key or the F10 key. As you'll see in this video here, I forgot which it was, and I tried the F2 key first, which you'll see right here. Yep, that was the wrong one. That's okay, because I exited and then I went to the correct one, which for most HPs, it's F10. Most newer HPs. Alright, so once that gets in there, F10 for BIOS set options, we went to configuration. You just press the right arrow to go over to configuration, and then you go down to virtualization technology and make sure that is enabled. Follow the instructions it says on the right hand panel. If it isn't disabled, to enable it, then you'll go to exit, save changes, and exit. Yes. And then it'll boot back up and you should be good to go. Whether you're using Mac OS, Windows, or Linux, if that troubleshooting did not get virtualization enabled on your machine, if you're still not looking at this screen here, the grub screen, the grub menu when you boot up your virtual machine, please, please, please check my blog. It is intended to be a living blog post that I'm going to add troubleshooting steps and different things to try as I come across them throughout while I'm maintaining that website. So please check out the blog post. Link is in the description, and best of luck. Hopefully it's ready to go at this point though. So as I pointed out, move that over. The username and password are both Kali, K-A-L-I. That is the default setting. Okay, we can change it a couple different sizes now. I like to go full screen, so to do so, we're going to hit the right control button. If you have two control buttons, it's going to be the right control, or you can just go to view, full screen mode. I know it says host F. On most PCs, the host is designated as the right hand control and F, but you can just click that button to do that. All right, so now we're looking at Kali full screen. A few different things I want to do here. So first, we're going to change the password. To do so is very, very simple. It's just a single command. We're going to type PASSWD, short for password. That is the file that passwords used to be stored on a Linux system. It is not that way anymore. Now it goes to the shadow file, but that's a little tidbit of history of where that came from. So we'll type that, and then we're going to type in the current password, which again is K-A-L-I. And then we're going to type in our new password, and then we're going to type in that same exact thing twice. So all right, great. So I changed that password. So before we go any further, we're going to restart the machine. Should take the new password we just set up. In my case, it is, or else it would have said, nope, you did bad. No, thank you. All right, good. So we're good to go there. This next thing that I recommend, let me also full screen this. Okay, so before we can update this machine, we need to also make this bigger. There we go. Okay, so we're going to do sudo apt update. All right, there we go. So Kali is based on Ubuntu, and Parrot OS is based on Pop! OS, both of which go back to Granddaddy Debian, which is super stable. So Debian uses the apt package manager, and both of these attack machines follow suit. So whether you went with Kali or went with Parrot OS, this part should be the same regardless. So you're going to use sudo apt update. This is going to resync your mirrors and figure out all the packages that need to be updated, and also ensure that you're pointing to updated packages. All right, so mine's all done. So we have 1,131 packages that need to be upgraded. Super fun. It's going to take a while. Before we do that, I'm going to install app called caffeine. Am I spelling that right? No, it's EI. Geez, friends, how do I spell caffeine? I'm not even sure. Is that it? I'm not going to do that just in case somebody's typo squatting. How the heck do I spell caffeine? Okay, that was right. Silly me. Okay, I'm going to install this app called Caffeine. So it's going to say, do you want to do this? I know it says capital Y. That's just the default option if you were to just hit return here or enter. I'm going to actually hit lowercase y. It doesn't really matter. It's going to take a minute to install. While that's installing on your host OS, I've already done it here. I already have Caffeine on my host OS, and it's enabled right here. You can tell because if it's not, it doesn't have the steam coming out of it, so it's enabled. If you're on Windows or Mac, you can just go into your settings and, didn't want to do that. If you're on Windows or Mac, you can just go into your settings and change your sleep settings to not go to sleep. Make it stay awake, make it, leave it plugged in while you're doing this next part. And in the attack machine, so Kali, we'll go to the caffeine indicator and you'll select activate. Sorry, I can't see it because the camera's right in front of it. Okay, so once it's activated, that's going to keep this virtual machine from falling asleep, which we want because I want to be able to walk away and grab a refill while I'm waiting for all these updates to install. So also while these updates are installing, it's going to constantly ask, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to do this? So we are going to sudo apt upgrade is the command to upgrade all packages. If we just stop here, it upgrades all packages. But we're also going to add a tac-y, which, by the way, for this and all future videos, if you hear me say tac, it's a single hyphen. Tac, tac, 2 hyphens. It's just the way I learned. Just let me be. But adding a tac-y for all those times the apt package manager asks us, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to do this? We're just going ahead and telling it right now, yes, I want to do this. I want to install this update. Okay, so we'll hit return or enter, whatever you want to call it. All right. And now, while that's working, we can step away and grab refills and stuff. I'll check in as it's going. While you're waiting, you can pause this video, or you can go ahead and enjoy this next segment. So for now, something completely different. I'm really excited for this one. So my first original recipe, surprise, surprise, I called it Kia Ora, was a hazy New England IPA. This is the version 2 of that recipe. So it is all New Zealand hops. So obviously it's a nice hazy golden color, juicy. You just smell those tropical, you can definitely smell the berry of the YET aromas. And it just smells so fruity and juicy and delicious before you even sip it. It just fills your mouth with these amazing tropical flavors, but the flavor, I think this is definitely by far, in my opinion, the best tasting IPA I've ever had. But also, I brew for myself, not for you, so maybe you won't think so. And yeah, I just love this one. It's my absolute favorite. I go to it all the time. Check out the recipe on my website, as well as my brewing process. And I include the XML and JSON files in my GitHub repo. So, Kia ora, friends. Alright, so mine is almost done here. If this thing pops up, just highlight over it and then move the cursor back. Ta-da! Alright. Exit the full screen and reboot. Just like as if it were a normal machine. So I was going to go into a tour of Kali Linux. I think just because of the sheer length of this video, that's going to have to wait for... that's just going to have to wait for another time. We can go sudo apt update. Alright, so when you see this, there's still 20 packages that can be upgraded, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to do exactly what it says here. Whoops. Just want that. Okay, so we're going to go through here. Let's start with Kali Linux headless, because I think that will get the majority of these. And again, we'll end it in TAC-Y, so it answers yes to all the things. So then we will press up twice to the list upgradable. Okay, that leaves only 3. So let's go with image magic. TAC yes. All right, and so you see right here, this is why this usually happens. So there was an updated version of the common, which the outdated version of the common conflicted with. So that's why it was like, hey, we're not installing this. So that's why we had to do that manually. Okay, press up twice again, see if there's anything left. Okay, just qterminal. So we'll get that last one real quick, and then we will do a shutdown. Upgrade. Okay, so when you see this unsatisfied dependencies, you can also do that manually, but it's not installable. Oh, okay, this, the following, okay, so, this happenstance, it may just be, hanging for the, maintainers to finish doing the, whatever they need to do on their end for the updates. That happens sometimes because these are all free and open source software tools, so, most of these maintainers are really just communities that are working together on GitHub. So sometimes when you go to do a system update, they will have hanging updates that they're just currently working on. So we can just come back to this later. I'm going to try and do this manually real quick, but it looks like it's not going to happen. And that's okay. Okay, yeah, that didn't happen. That's okay. Sudo apt update. Checking the mirrors. Okay, and it's still just that one package that we're having troubles with because it's hanging. So that's totally okay. So before I shut down, there is one thing I wanted to show you all real quick, which is something really cool that sets Kali aside from the other options that we saw. So if you just type in Kali tac undercover, hit return. Takes a minute to load itself up, but now all of a sudden it looks like we are in a Windows machine. So this is really great. Obviously, this is past the scope of what this lab is for, but this is really great if you're actually doing pen test, on site to do a pen testing assessment, because if somebody is looking over your shoulder, it looks like you're just on a regular Windows box, that you're not doing anything nefarious. So you can see that it's still running Kali commands like it's in the Kali Z shell. And if we go to the Windows Start menu, it looks like a Windows Start menu, but it has all the options as if we were still in the Kali box. So it's just a really cool option, something to consider when selecting a attack machine. But very, very cool. So to get out of this, we just type Kali undercover again, and it'll go back to the main screen. And I'm going to close out of my terminal. And we're just going to do a complete shutdown rather than a reboot, because now we need to set up a host-only adapter. We're setting up a host-only adapter to keep these VMs isolated from the public-facing internet, but still have them be able to interact with each other. This is best practice because you don't want the vulnerable machine exposed to the public-facing internet. So when you want to update your attack machine like we just did, make sure you change the network settings back to that NAT network address translation adapter, like it just was, and it looks like so. Network address translation, NAT. A few different things. So we're back on the VirtualBox Manager. We're going to go to Tools, hit the hamburger sandwich, additional options, whatever you want to call it. I call it additional options. We're going to select Network, which is the fourth option down. I'm not going to worry about this VirtualBox failure here for now. We're going to be on host-only networks, and we're going to do create. Okay, so now we have this VBox 0. You can see that the network CIDR is 192.168.56.24. It says 124, but obviously it's going to start at 0. If you want to see the details, we'll go to Properties. Okay. So we can go to Configure Manually. That's just where it goes. Here, we'll go to Configure Automatically, and we'll enable the DHCP server, and that should... Okay. Configure Manually. DHCP server. Apply. Okay. All right. So you have to go manually. That's how you get rid of that error. If you're using Mac OS, they do not support host-only adapters. It's going to show as a host-only network. Let's say that you don't want this network in the 192.168 range. That's totally fine. If you're on Windows, you can just go ahead and change those options. You can change it here. You can go, and I'll go ahead and show you because it is going to be an error. So 10.0.0.1, 2, 3, and 254. Okay, I'm going to click apply. It's going to show as an error for me. If you're on Windows, you can apply and you'll be good. Okay, network interface error. Why? If you are on Linux, like me, or on Mac, you need to create a new file in your /etc directory. So here's how we do that. I like to use Nano as a text editor. We will need enhanced, or we will need elevated privileges. So use sudo. You can pronounce it sudo or sudo. I don't care. It's super easy to do. I don't waste energy stressing about whether things are pronounced pajamas or pajamas, or I digress. Okay. Yes, so it's etsy vbox networks.conf. Okay. All right. And then you can enter something like so. It will start at the asterisk. That is how you denote that the line is starting for the system. Okay. Save. We'll get into Nano text editor another time. Okay, and now we should be good to try again. So let's try that again. So I'm going to create a new one. Adapter. Not that I think anybody would reach this amount, but it is important to keep in mind that if you are setting up something other than the default, you're limited to 128 hosts. Apply. All right, and now I got no error. So that is how you set up a host-only adapter with a network other than the default. And if you were having trouble even with the default and you're on Mac OS or Linux, it's probably because you had that /etsy/vbox/networks.conf file already and it was blank. If you just want to go with the default and you're still getting an error, double check and see if you have that file and then just remove it. And then you should be able to go with the defaults. Okay, and we're almost done. We've set up a host-only adapter to keep us safe for when we install a vulnerable virtual machine, which is what we're about to do now. So we're going to go to vulnhub.com. That looks better. Okay, vulnhub. There are a few places that you can go. We're going to go to vulnhub. Some other places you may choose to go. So this gives you a few good options. You've got DVWA, that's pretty popular. WebGoat I've never heard of. Juice Shop I've used before. Metasploitable. There are several versions. Obviously 3 would be the latest. Security Shepherd I've never used. BWAP, that sounds familiar. I think I've used it. And then you've got a Node application. And this also has Docker instructions if you use the containerization version for your attack machine. So, yeah, this is a great resource. I'm definitely going to include that in the description. But today, I'm going to get a vulnerable machine from this website, vulnhub.com. And if you are following along, please come with me. What we're looking for here is difficulty easy. You see this one is medium, easy, medium. And we've got pages and pages upon pages of available vulnerable machines. I'm going to go with Django just because I did a little research ahead of time, and I think this is a good one to start with our first pen testing walkthrough. So to download this, we're going to click these additional options here, these 4 vertical dots. We're going to click download. Use this download mirror. Okay, once that's finished downloading, before we do anything with it, best practice is to check the hash for integrity. I know I didn't do the same thing on the Kali install. I really should have, because it is best practice, but it's extra crucial here because this is a vulnerable machine. So that it's intentionally vulnerable and you're installing it on your personal computer. Hopefully not a work computer. Please don't do that without permission. So if there were any changes between when this hash here, if there were any changes between when these hashes were posted and when we installed our virtual machine, they're not going to match. So I believe you can do this the same way on Windows and Mac. Let's just check real quick. D5 hash Windows. Okay, yeah, the commands are different. So I'm going to post these links. Here, let's check Mac real quick. Yeah, a little different. Okay. Checking them is a little different. I will post those links in the description so you can just copy and paste the commands. but checking them is the same. Okay, so we're going to save this. Go as theirs. And MD5 sum. It's in the downloads folder. It was downloaded as Django. Yep, OVA. Okay. Okay. There's mine. Okay, so there's a couple different things we can do here. We can do cat theirs, cat mine, and we can compare that side by side, or, and it looks like we're gonna have to change that to uppercase, but that's okay. We can do a diff command. There's one. And that will also show them side by side. You can change the lowercase to uppercase letters if you choose. I'm comfortable with this. It looks identical. Yeah, we're good. We can also do the same thing with the SHA-1, which, again, best practice, you should be doing that. So we're going to do that real quick. We're going to do okay, same thing, diff, there's mine. Oh, because I did all this, whatever. Ignore this, that's fine. The thing to pay attention here is right here. And this, again, looks identical. So I'm confident that no information was changed between when they posted these hashes and when I downloaded the image. If there are any differences, it doesn't necessarily mean that there was something malicious done to the file. It could just be a bad download. So give it one more try and then check again. It could have just been a corrupted download, that it was interrupted. I actually had a feeling that I was going to have a different hash because I did need to resume the download. I got a big exclamation point warning that it was interrupted. For one reason or another, it doesn't matter. So just so you know, it does happen. Okay, so we've downloaded our vulnerable machine and checked it for its integrity. Now we will go to Tools. Again, go to the additional options, go to Welcome, and we're going to import. For Kali Linux, we did add. For this vulnerable machine, we're going to do import. All right, when you import, go to the file location to where you can find it. OVA stands for Open Virtualization Appliance, by the way. That's just so you know. The more you know. All right, so that'll take a minute to install. Okay, a couple of things real quick. The vulnerable one that we just installed, we'll go to Settings. You want to make sure that this is set to your host-only adapter. Either one, doesn't matter. I'm going to leave it as 0 for now. On the Kali box, we're going to do the same thing. I wanted to show you this real quick. If you need to apply additional resources to this virtual machine, you can do so here in the settings. A few things that you may need to do. Storage. Did want to show you this real quick. So the virtual machine thinks that it has 80 gigs. That's a dynamic storage. It's not really taking up that much space. It's taking up about 20 gigs. So when it has dynamic space enabled, we're basically giving it permission to take up that amount of space. So if you need to change that, there are ways to change it. Go ahead and look it up. Just changing dynamic storage VirtualBox. That's all you need to look up, and you'll find the instructions for it. It's in the VirtualBox documentation. It's really not taking up that much space. That's how much space it has permission to take up. Right now it's only taking up about 20 gigs, and it can expand to that big. And then once it reaches that limit, it can't go any further, but we'll keep an eye on it. That being said, so a few things that you want to take a look at for your virtual machine resources. We'll go to System, and we will go to Memory. Okay, so right now it's got 2 gigs. You can go up or down. You know, I'm probably going to make that 4 gigs in the near future. I'm going to leave it here for now, but that's how you do it. And then for processors, it's on the next tab, so you can adjust that as well. I think this is going to be okay for now. So network, we're going to also change that to the host-only adapter. Make sure it's on the same one. VBox net 0 right here. Make sure that this is on 0. Very good. Okay, we're going to start them both up on this vulnerable machine. Out of memory condition. Yeah, I think there was a problem with the install. So I'm going to pause recording real quick and take a look at that. Alright, I'm back trying to install that Open Virtual Appliance again. Open Virtualization Appliance. Alright, yeah, it's not skipping to done like it did on the last time. It got to like 20% or 30% or something, and then it just said it was done. This time I actually saw it actually increase to the end, so we should be good. Okay, yeah, so no error. So what happened was as I was downloading it, there was some interruption. Not sure why. Maybe it was because I was like, I still had my recording studio up and paused the recording. This time I tried shutting the recording studio down. But I mean, it just goes to show you, like, if you're getting errors or if the hashes aren't matching, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's something nefarious going on. It just may mean that you need to delete it and re-download and then reinstall. Yeah, so we're all good. I do want to show you one thing real quick before we move on. So if I click inside of this, my cursor's gone. You just saw it disappear, and I am moving my mouse right now. There's no cursor. So when your cursor disappears, you just need to press the host key again, which again on most computers is the right hand control key, and then it reappears. So that's all booted up and ready to go. So we're going to boot up our Kali machine. Okay, just giving the Kali box a minute to load up. Let's just clean everything up a little bit. There you go. Now we just see the 2 machines. All right. So we're going to pull up our terminal, and the command is going to be nmap, if I could spell right, nmap sn. Depending on what post you look at, the command used to be lowercase s capital P for ping sweep. That's what we're doing. So ping sweep, and so it tells you the IP address right here. So we're just going to confirm that real quick. Go back in here. So it's going to be the 192.168.56. And real quick, just to show our IP address, we are going to do a new tab. And if you've ever heard of the command ifconfig or ifconfig, it stands for interface config. That's actually deprecated. It's been replaced with the IP address command. So we're going to do IP adder, and show is the subcommand for showing all our interface connections. So we can see Ethernet 0. We're on the same network, 192.168.56.3, and that is within the same. So, Yeah, the only other machine in this network is this guy right here. So that brings this journey to its end. Thanks so much for sticking with me through this video. I know it was a long one, and I hope you found this demo helpful. In this tutorial, we learned how to set up a virtual hacking lab environment using Kali Linux as our attack box and a vulnerable machine from VulnHub. We covered the importance of setting up a secure home lab, ran our first network scan to ensure the machines can interact. That was that ping sweep we just did. And we discussed a few common issues to help overcome any obstacles you may have encountered regardless of what host OS you're running. If you found this tutorial helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please share your thoughts and questions in the comments below. Your experiences and questions will absolutely help improve the blog post on my website for the behalf of the community. Now, be sure to check out my next video where we're actually going to walk through capturing all the flags on this vulnerable machine we set up today, for which I'm absolutely certain I'll run down plenty of rabbit holes to show you what to avoid. And also, this is my 4th time recording this video, so here are some silly mishacks I've brewed up for you on this one. Kia ora, friends.